There was certainly one hell of a lot of anti-Semitism, of Jew hatred, swirling around that auditorium in Switzerland on Saturday night. We'll talk about that in about 20 minutes. But first, a very warm welcome to the show, to my favourite politician, I think I can say that now. She is the new Reform Mayor of Greater Lincolnshire, Dame Andrea Jenkins. Welcome, Andrea.
Hi, Kevin. How are you doing?
I'm very, very well. Well, there's a couple of very big stories that we need to discuss. I obviously want to talk to you about the Brexit betrayal, which I think is quite shocking. But first, can I get your take on Lucy Connolly that I was just talking about? Now, this is a woman, a mum, who tweeted something I think we can all accept was not her finest hour. It wasn't a very nice tweet at the height of the Southport riots, talking about burn them and deport them and all this kind of stuff. She later pulled that tweet down, apologised. She was very worked up because she had lost her own son, her own little boy, a year earlier in tragic circumstances. And she was very emotional. She felt for the poor 3 mums who'd lost their little girls in that horrific murder. So she was very sort of worked up. So she made a mistake. 31 months for hurty words on Twitter. She was hundreds of miles away from Southport. She wasn't even... She got less than people throwing bricks and trying to set fire to mosques. This is insane. This is two-tier justice gone mad. The judge should have let her out today, shouldn't he?
Yes. Absolutely, Kevin. I mean, it's disgusting. She's clearly a political prisoner. And I think it says something about British society when, you know, sex offenders, perverts and child groomers don't go to prison, but Lucy Connolly is still in prison. It's degradation of our society. And how low can we go? It's terrible. I think it's a stain on our history when things like this happen. Now, and let's face it, you know, I'm a mum myself, and I think any parent out there, the Southport murders of these innocent children affected everybody and every parent. And it cuts deep, doesn't it, when you're a parent yourself? And she's lost a child. Clearly she was hurting, and she just ranted on social media, which she later took down. And it doesn't deserve for her to be a political prisoner. Yeah, and,
I had her husband is a Tory councillor in Northampton, Ray Connelly, on my show earlier, Raymond, and he was explaining that it's been devastating for them because he's had to bring up their 12-year-old kid, and the kid's not, you know, responding well to the absence of her mum and everything. So, you know, it's a really tragic situation, and if she had to go to jail, I think we could conclude she's learned her lesson by now. They should have let her out. But of the 385 people that went to jail with indecent haste after those riots, you know, in court charged, banged up within about 5 days, 12 went to jail for hurty words on social media. I think in a Western democracy, no one should ever go to jail for what they write on Twitter, don't you think?
No, I agree. And look at the situation with Hugh Edwards last year, you know, downloading child porn. Yet he was let off. You know, where is the justice in this?
Yeah, it's just ridiculous. As I say, when you take on board the fact that many of these rioters who actually, you know, were hurling bricks at the police, trying to set fire to mosques and migrant hotels. They got lighter sentences than Lucy for some few rather ill-chosen words hundreds of miles away on Twitter. Just totally wrong. Now, I want to...
And it's because, no doubt, because she's not a member of the Labour Party, she's an opposition political party. I think that's added to.
Exactly right. You know, you're well aware, or you'll be more aware than most, that I am aware as well. It is now actually illegal in Britain to be right-wing, to be right of centre. You get sent to jail. Now,
I haven't done my campaign. I've got a court case now from the opposition. It's getting crazy.
Oh, my God. Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I just want to play you one last piece of footage that I think will take your breath away. This is the Prime Minister today, asked about Lucy Connolly's case after the judge decided she'll serve her full 31 months. Have a look at this.
I'm not across the details of the particular case, but let me give you the principles that I would apply. Firstly, I'm strongly in favour of free speech. We've had free speech in this country for a very, very long time, and we protect it fiercely. I'm equally, though, against incitement to violence against other people. That has long been an offence in our country, and rightly so. And so I say, don't know the details of this case, but free speech, yes. Incitement to violence, no.
Did you note that there, Andrea? I'm not across the details.
Such a hypocrite, isn't he?
That's a lie. That's just a lie.
Inciting violence to the Jewish community, as we've seen the last couple of years, haven't we?
And that's a lie. I'm not across the details of this case. Everyone's talking about this. Why would he say such a stupid... It's a little boy lie. And then he goes on to say, I am in favour of freedom of speech. Well, Keir, if you're in favour of freedom of speech, how about you stop locking people up for what they write on Twitter?
Let her out, absolutely.
You know, unbelievable.
Yes.
Well, let's move on to his other howler this week, which is just atrocious, the Brexit betrayal. He's basically sold us down the river on every single count. We now have got to pay Brussels once again billions of pounds for the privilege of being bossed around by the EU's millions of rules and regulations. We're back in the club. We haven't got any voting rights. We're just going to be bossed around for everything he conceded: the fishing rights, farming rights, trading with food. Sausages will now be allowed to be sold on the continent, apparently. Big deal. For everything that he conceded, this plethora of concessions he made, is it me, or did we get absolutely nothing back of any interest whatsoever? We got nothing back, did we?
As usual with the EU deals, we saw it with David Cameron, didn't we, etc. I mean, look, I've been fighting for Brexit for years, as you know, Kevin. In Parliament, I've stood against the Remainers. We saw Starmer at the time working with Bercow, who was the Speaker, to try and stop us getting Brexit through. So we had a major fight standing up for the 17 million people who voted to leave. And the fact that he can do this without so much as a vote, it is a democracy denier to me. And as you mentioned, it's going to cost £16 billion of taxpayers' money in this first year. I mean, you've got Boris on there. Look how he fought for Brexit. Look how Nigel fought for Brexit. And Starmer comes in. But let's face it, we all did warn if Starmer gets in, he would roll back. And I was a Spartan. I voted against the Windsor framework as well. But I think it just demonstrates that trust in politicians has sunk even further lower, hasn't it?
Did you hear what he said? He said when he triumphantly announced this deal that he actually agreed to before he even entered the negotiations. Gave a press conference the night before saying, yeah, we're definitely going to sign the deal tomorrow. So, it's no wonder they threw in a few late flankers. So they suddenly said, we're going to give you 4 years, 4 years fishing rights. Actually, we want 12. So he just went, oh, yeah, all right. But what he actually said, Andrew, was this. He said, I'm delivering what you voted for last year, as in the Labour government. Yeah, no reference to what 17.4 million people voted for in 2016, which was to leave the EU. This guy is rejoining. He is betraying what the British people voted for. This is a disgusting attack on the UK's democracy, I think.
Completely agree. And as I said, I saw him in Parliament working to stop us delivering Brexit in the first place. So this should not come as any surprise, actually. This is why I think we need reform to grow and grow, keep getting more power in the elections next year as well, in any by-elections. And so we can get into power in 4 years' time, reverse this and finally deliver a true Brexit. But I mean, looking at fishing rights, I think it's very sad that, I mean, look, my late grandfather was a fisherman. Walter was a fisherman. I've spoke to some former fishermen the last few days, and they're angry about this. But I think it's very sad. Look at the fishing industry. It has been treated badly for years, unfortunately, and not being able to fish properly in our own waters. And now the EU vessels have got precedence over ours, really, haven't they? And they can fish for the next 12 years. It's just wrong. When are we going to start putting British people first and British interests first? That's what I'd like to know.
Yes, and Starmer also, he went into these negotiations, no guns blazing, basically accepted everything. Yes. And seems to feel that the British people, that this is
just as Theresa May did, though. Do you remember those moments? I mean, look, she was agreeing to everything, wasn't she? It was Brexit in name only. That's why I told her to resign. And I don't know why people have such a love-in with the EU. What's wrong with sovereignty? I mean, we've again become a rule taker, haven't we, with the EU? And we're paying for that pleasure of them telling us what to do.
We've rejoined. We've got all the disadvantages of being a member, but we don't now have the advantage of being a voter at the table. We are literally, as you say, we are a rule taker with no say in the rules. But where do you think he gets this idea that that's what the British people want?
I think, look, we've seen it so many times with politicians across the board, really, haven't we? That they end up in their ivory tower. They're so out of touch with the British public that I think they look down on them, really. Look at during Brexit, how many of us for supporting Brexit got called racist, got called bigots, got called thick, and that's continued. This is how, let's face it, they see British people who voted to leave. They think they know better. And this is, I think all liberals are like this, actually. London-centric liberals, whether it's Labour Party, whether it's the One Nation lot of the Conservatives, or whether it's the Lib Dems. This is how they view British people, especially the working class British people.
Well, Andrea, I'm looking at my switchboard now and remembering it last night. It was almost on fire last night. And I've asked around. I've been to the pub. I've done one of my scientific surveys. And I haven't met anybody who isn't absolutely seethingly furious about what Keir Starmer has done. He's betrayed Brexit. He's ignored the vote of the British people to leave the EU. He has hooked us up again to that sclerotic organisation, and we've had to give them billions of pounds just to be bossed around by them again. I think he's going to pay a heavy price for this. I don't think he realises just how catastrophically unpopular what he's done is.
Do you know, I don't think he cares, because he's going to use these next 4 years to get what he wants, the vision of Britain in his eyes, which means this close alignment with the EU going back in. It means that the trade unions control Britain. And it means that, those who's got aspiration, they work hard, do the right thing, they're punished. And that's what it feels like under Starmer's Britain.
And you can do your party political thing now. What will reform? I mean, Nigel Farage wrote a rather good article in the Daily Express today calling it, an abject surrender, which is exactly what it is. But what will reform sell to the public about what you'll do about what Starmer's done here?
Look, we would reverse it without a doubt. I mean, look, Nigel, it's been his whole career fighting to leave the EU, hasn't it? 30, 40 years he's been doing this. I've been doing it for nearly 2 decades as well. And so I've worked with, Nigel and Richard on the Brexit campaign. I know how passionate they are these last 8 years that I've known them. I know that they're fuming about this, and we're not going to take it lying down lightly. We will come back fighting, and we will deliver for the public. I mean, what I'm trying to do on a local level, actually, Kevin, is try and restore that trust, because, as I said, trust is at an all-time low and apathy is at an all-time high. People have lost their freedom of speech. They've lost democracy by what's happened the last few days. And people are skint, let's face it.
Yeah.
People are struggling. So it's not a good place to be at the moment in Britain. So I'm trying to restore that trust. I've even said that my committee meetings, we should have the same scrutiny as MPs do. My meetings are going to be broadcast. How everyone votes is going to be recorded, because we need to hold politicians at every level to account to make sure that they deliver.
Good for you.
I think the time's gone now where you promise things and you don't deliver.
Transparency is important to get politicians to do what they actually say with the tickets they ran on, because so often they betray their constituencies in that way. Can I just ask you a couple of questions before you go, Andrea, about things in Greater Lincolnshire, how your mayoralship is going? Are you because you said you were going to take on the DEI obsession, you're going to get rid of that, you're going to cut back on expenses, etc. Are you encountering opposition from the blob, from the establishment?
I mean, did you see the Independent article, the hatchet job on me, saying that there's no DEI officers? What they failed to mention, even though I did tell them.
They got a new name for them, right?
Yeah, exactly. They just packaged it as a new name. That they obviously saw reform coming, didn't they? And they've got these new names. So we've got a new council leader who's officially sworn in as council leader the next couple of days. I've been working with him. We now control Lincolnshire County Council. We're having a Lincolnshire Doge under Lincolnshire County Council. It's not called Doge, it's called more of an English name. But it's going to do what it says on the tin. It's about scrutiny. But even as a mayoral level, I mean, I'll give an example. The department wanted to organise, the Combined Authority wanted to organise a dinner with businesses, etc., which it was going to cost £4,000. And I said, where is this at? And so I've said, spoke with them. I've got a great chief operating officer, actually. He suggested, let's hold it at the local college, let them do the food and showcase the college. So that's what we're doing, to bring businesses together and other things as well. I mean, I've been even looking at the scrutiny of the recruitment process. One of the candidates' partners has applied for a cushy number, a part-time role at $40,000 a year. Has ended up in the final sift, and so I'm ensuring that that there's true scrutiny. I'm putting an end to nepotism in politics. I want everything to be transparent. This person might be the best person for the job, but I like to see checks and balances. I like to see why these people were narrowed down, because to me it's about transparency now. And regarding diversity officers, we're coming for you. We're making sure that every penny of taxpayers' money is well spent. And
as in Durham, I think the Reform Council is going to get rid of these as well. But in Durham, we learned that all councillors that are elected, before they sort of take their seats, they have to go on climate change education courses. Presumably you won't be having any of those in Lincolnshire, will you?
I very much doubt it, to be honest. But remember, they do stuff like this with MPs, and ensure that MPs, what's it called?
Well, it's a sort of it's a group thing, isn't it? You've got
exactly. And so, there's a whole industry out of this, isn't there? Let's face it, an industry out of this woke nonsense. I mean, I was in Leeds today. It was the Real Estate, Infrastructure and Investment Summit, and all the mayors across the UK was speaking. I spoke, I laid out my vision for Greater Lincolnshire, and I also said I'm setting up a transport for Greater Lincolnshire, and unlike Sadiq Khan's, what's loaded with diversity officers, there won't be one on mine. This is actually about decision makers, and people won't get paid. They're doing it for the love of the county, to ensure that we get Lincolnshire moving.
You're going to storm it, Andrea. It's really great to talk to you, as always. Come back and see me soon. The brilliant Dame Andrea Jenkins there, who is the new mayor, the anti-woke, anti-DEI reform mayor of Greater Lincolnshire.